Okay, everybody, I'm going to do this. I'm going to teach you this an introductory lesson, an introduction to the next topic that we're going to learn. Hopefully, all of you can watch this video. During before the lesson, even after the lessons for your revision, so that the lesson that I have prepared for you will always be there. Now, this PowerPoint presentation is all words because I really can't put any images that are with copyright issues. But we'll see how it will go. Okay, because this is just an introduction. I'll show you the necessary images in class because our copyright. Uh, you know, uh, we do have the copyright to show licenses to show in class, but not on a public platform like YouTube. Okay, so here goes, living together interactions. First of all, this topic, there's a lot of things that you need to understand and memorize. For example, what an organism is. Simply put, an organism is a living thing. Anything that is a living thing is an organism. So examples that I've put on screen that you can see now is like a fungus. A mushroom is an organism. A plant, any kind of plant is an organism. You go to the garden, you see an ixora plant, that is an organism. You go to the farm and you see a vegetable, that's an organism. You go to the zoo and you see animals. Each of those animal is an organism. Okay, so animal, plants, fungus. Can you think of any others? All right. Population is the next word that you really need to understand. Okay, actually population is very simple to understand. If you have that organism, two of the same kind of organism, two or more, it becomes a population of organism. So if you have one single butterfly, that's an organism. But if you have a few butterflies of the same species flying together in a particular place, that's called a population of butterfly. So a population is a group of organisms of the same kind that live together and they reproduce in one particular place. Alright, so the number of organisms in a population is called its population size. So if you have a lot of time and you just stand in our garden and you look at all the butterflies and you manage to count all of them and you come to a number, say for example you've counted 100 butterflies, then the population size of the butterfly in our garden is 100. Alright, now this population size is always changing. It can increase if the organism reproduce. For example, when the butterflies in our garden lay eggs and the eggs become caterpillars, that means the population size have increased. Or other butterflies of the same species fly into our garden to join the population, and that also increase the population size of the butterflies. All right, so organisms of the same kind that move into the place. Likewise, you can imagine if our pond, we have lots of guppies, and if the guppies reproduce, that means the population size of the guppies increases. But if, let's say, the kingfisher that normally visits our school pond, and if it goes in there and eats several of the guppies, therefore the population size of the guppies will decrease. Okay, or if we often have students, uh, what do you call that, catching the guppies, and the guppies die, then also the population decreases. Okay, so population size can increase and can also decrease. All right, so like I've said, right, the population size decrease when the population dies for one reason, from disease, from hunger, from predators, or when uh, when the population members of the population move out. So for example, if the butterflies look at our garden and there's no more food for it to eat, then it flies off to the neighboring gardens, and that means the population size of the butterflies in our garden has decreased, so they can also move out. All right. Next word to understand is the habitats. Now I'm going fast here because I do have a limited time to work with, because I'm using software that captures this video. If I'm going too fast, what you can do is you can just pause the video and replay the video from where you found it be too fast. All right, so that you can revise and you can repeat whatever I've just said. So back to habitats. Habitats is a place where the organism live. Okay, so we can find a lot of habitats. All around the world. There's the mangrove habitat. If you go to Sungai Buloh in Singapore, that's a mangrove habitat. You can find leaf litter habitat. There's lots of leaf litter in our school garden. You can find lots of animals there. That's a leaf litter habitat. Then there's the pond habitat. The pond itself is a habitat. We used to have a rotting log habitat, and whenever we find, the rotting logs that they've cut up, we will add to the rotting log habitat. And then there's the field habitat. All right, lots of animals live on the field, under the field, like earthworms and so on and so forth. And there are many, many more. There's so many habitats all around the world. It is very hard for me to list everything down here. But there is a wonderful video. You can go to tinyurl.com habitat remix, and there are some examples of the habitat that I didn't mention here, in which you can also look into. All right, make use of the ICT or technology to learn. Okay. Now, all these animals that live in the habitat, they need each other to survive, and we call that interdependence. Interdependent means they depend on each other to survive. Examples would be population of plant eaters. If an animal eat plants, they need plants to survive, right? Or else they won't have any food to eat. Animals that eat other animals would of course need to find other animals to eat. So they do need all these animals to survive. All the animal population need plants for two things, which is for shelter, right? And for them to hide from the enemies and from the weather, and for them to breathe. Okay, so because plants produce oxygen, so animals need the plants for oxygen, and plants also need the animal waste. And when animal produce waste, or when the animal dies, decomposers will break it down into simpler substances, such as carbon dioxide, mineral salts, and water for the plants to absorb, right? And the plants also need the carbon dioxide that the animal produce when they breathe out. Okay, so everything in the environment, all the organisms need each other to survive. Next thing you need to know is that when we have different population of organisms living together, okay, being dependent on each other in a habitat, they're called a community. For example, in a pond, we have lots of populations of animals. We have the water flea population, the paramecium population, the dragonfly population, the frog population, and so on. Everything that I listed down there. And they all form a community. They feed off each other. They need each other, and so on. Likewise, you can also find the garden community. All of those things that I listed there. They need each other to survive, for food, for shelter, for oxygen, for carbon dioxide, for mineral salts, and so on. Okay. So that's the end of my PowerPoint presentation for this lesson. I am rushing through, and that is because there is a limited bandwidth that I can work with. So I would really urge you to replay this video a few times and use your journal to take down notes. All right, so that uh, when we go through this same topic in class, you would already know certain of the definitions and certain of the ideas. Okay. With that, thank you very much. If you spot any mistakes that I've done, do just alert me so that I can correct them. Thank you.